Beloved soul, before this story begins, set aside the noise of the day. Set aside the worries. Set aside the distractions. Because tonight's story is about something many people carry but rarely talk about. The fear that everything you have worked for could disappear. The fear that your efforts might never be rewarded. The fear that your future is more fragile than it appears. And child, that is where this chapter begins. Not with money. Not with a bank account. With a question. A question that quietly follows millions of people through life. Am I truly protecting the future I am trying so hard to build? Now imagine a person sitting alone late at night. The house is quiet. The lights are dim. The world outside seems peaceful. Yet inside their mind, a storm is moving. Not because something terrible happened. Because uncertainty has arrived. And uncertainty can feel heavier than reality itself. Right now, a sacred opportunity is visible on your screen. Scan the QR code or click the link pinned in the comments and description below to sow your seed of faith. We have all stumbled blindly and made mistakes in life, but God is offering you a divine moment of confession and redemption today. Do not let this moment pass. By sowing a sacrificial seed of donation right now, you are initiating a spiritual harvest. The Almighty Himself will examine your offering, and the blessings of your generosity will return to you multiplied, securing divine favor not just for your future, but for generations to come. Sow your seed today and change your destiny. This person had spent years working, years planning, years sacrificing, years believing that if they stayed disciplined, eventually life would become easier. Yet recently something felt different. Not dangerous. Unsettling. Like a small warning bell ringing somewhere in the distance. Now imagine a sailor standing on a calm ocean. The water looks peaceful. The sky looks clear. Yet far away, beyond the horizon, dark clouds are beginning to gather. The sailor cannot see every detail. But experience tells them to pay attention. Child, wisdom often begins that way. Not through panic. Through awareness. And awareness was about to become important. One evening, while reviewing ordinary details of life, the person noticed something. Not a catastrophe. Not a disaster. A pattern. And patterns tell stories. Small decisions repeated over time. Small habits repeated over time. Small oversights repeated over time. Now imagine a tiny crack appearing in a wall. The crack is harmless at first. Easy to ignore. Easy to postpone. Yet every season makes it slightly larger. Child, many important problems begin exactly that way. Quietly. Gradually. Patiently. And because they arrive slowly, people rarely notice them immediately. The person suddenly realized something powerful. Protecting the future requires more than effort. It requires attention. That realization refused to leave. The following morning. The following afternoon. The following evening. The thought remained. Because deep inside, they knew something. The future they wanted deserved more care than they had been giving it. Now imagine a gardener planting beautiful seeds. Planting is important. Watering is important. But watching over the garden matters too. Because what is valuable deserves protection. Child, that lesson was becoming clearer every day. And the person began asking better questions. Not, what do I hope happens? But, what am I doing to prepare for what happens? Those questions changed everything. Because better questions create better decisions. The QR code on your screen and the link in the pinned comment are your gateway to a fresh start. God is giving you this exact moment to confess your unseen wrongs and correct your path. Sow your seed right now without fear. God is analyzing your heart today, and the donation you make will trigger a divine reaction. Expect a massive turnaround in your life, and a permanent blessing that will feed your lineage for centuries. Secure it today. As the days continued, another realization appeared. One even more important. The person understood that real security does not come from numbers. It comes from wisdom. It comes from preparation. It comes from understanding. Now imagine two travelers. One carries a large amount of supplies but no map. The other carries less but understands the road. Child, knowledge often protects people more effectively than fear ever could. And that knowledge was beginning to grow. The person was becoming more aware, more intentional, more prepared. Not because life became easier, because they became wiser. Then something unexpected happened. A conversation. An ordinary conversation. The kind most people forget. Yet hidden inside it was a sentence that would change everything. The sentence was simple. The future belongs to the people who pay attention before everyone else does. Child. Those words felt important. Because suddenly the person understood what had been bothering them all along. It wasn't fear. It was a call to become more aware, more responsible, more engaged with the future they were trying to create. And awareness is powerful. Because awareness turns uncertainty into action. Scan the QR code or click the link below immediately to sow your seed of faith. This is God's direct invitation to wash away past regrets and write a new story. The seed you sow today goes straight to the Creator's ledger. He will witness your sacrifice and return it to you 100-fold, establishing a divine shield of wealth and peace over your bloodline for generations to come. Do not hesitate, sow your seed now. But beloved soul, the most important discovery has not happened yet. Because very soon, this person will uncover a hidden truth about something they have overlooked for years. A truth connected to preparation. A truth connected to responsibility. And a truth that will completely change the way they think about their future. When that discovery appears, everything begins to make sense. Before you leave this chapter, comment the word awareness. Because awareness is often the first step toward protecting what matters most. And if you're ready for part 2, type 2. Because the next chapter reveals the hidden detail this person almost ignored, and why it changes the entire story. Part 2. Beloved one. There are moments when people receive information. And then there are moments when people receive a wake-up call. The difference is important. Information can be ignored. A wake-up call stays with you. It follows you into the next day. It follows you into quiet moments. It follows you into the questions you ask yourself when nobody else is around. And child, that is exactly what was happening. The realization from the previous chapter refused to leave. Because deep inside, the person understood something. Life was trying to teach them a lesson before circumstances forced them to learn it the hard way. Now imagine walking through a forest at sunrise. At first, everything looks the same. The same trees. The same path. The same surroundings. Then the sunlight changes. Suddenly details appear that were invisible before. Child, nothing in the forest changed. The light changed. And light reveals things. Awareness works exactly the same way. Look at the QR code on your screen, or click the link in the description and pinned comment right now. God knows the hidden guilt you've carried from past mistakes. This is your divine window to confess, release that burden, and sow your seed. What you donate today isn't just money, it's a seed directly evaluated by God Himself. He will multiply this sacrifice, breaking every financial curse and securing an eternal harvest for you and your future generations. Act now. The person began looking at life differently. Not dramatically. Carefully. The routines they followed. The choices they made. the habits they repeated. Everything suddenly seemed worth examining. Now imagine a craftsman inspecting a bridge. The bridge appears strong from a distance. Yet the craftsman understands something important. Strength is maintained through attention, not assumption. Child, many people spend years building a future. Very few spend equal time protecting it. And that realization was becoming impossible to ignore. The person realized they had been focusing heavily on earning. Yet not enough on understanding. Not enough on planning. Not enough on preparing. And preparation changes outcomes. One evening, while reviewing old notes and goals, they discovered something surprising. Not a hidden fortune. Not a secret document. A pattern. A pattern that had existed for years. Now imagine watching a movie for the second time. The first time you focus on the action. The second time you notice clues. Child, life often reveals its clues only after we become willing to see them. The person realized that some of their biggest setbacks had something in common. Not bad luck. Not other people. A lack of attention to small details. Small details that later became important. Very important. Because little things have a strange habit of becoming big things when ignored long enough. That realization felt uncomfortable. But it also felt empowering. Because if a problem comes from something beyond your control, you feel helpless. If a problem comes from something you can improve, you gain power. Now imagine discovering that the locked door you've been struggling with isn't locked at all. You simply never turned the handle. Child, that changes everything. The person began understanding that awareness creates options. And options create freedom. For years they believed the future was something that happened to people. Now they were beginning to see the future as something people actively shape. Decision by decision. Habit by habit. Choice by choice. And that realization felt liberating. The QR code on your screen and the link in the pinned comment are your gateway to a fresh start. God is giving you this exact moment to confess your unseen wrongs and correct your path. Sow your seed right now without fear. God is analyzing your heart today, and the donation you make will trigger a divine reaction. Expect a massive turnaround in your life, and a permanent blessing that will feed your lineage for centuries. Secure it today. The following week brought another lesson. A lesson hidden inside an ordinary conversation. The person met someone older. Someone experienced. Someone who had lived through difficult seasons. As they talked, the older person shared a thought that immediately captured attention. They said, "Most people wait until something becomes urgent before they take it seriously." Child. The sentence landed heavily. Because it felt true. Very true. Now imagine seeing dark clouds gathering in the distance. The wise traveler prepares before the storm arrives. The unprepared traveler waits until the rain begins. Child, timing matters. Preparation matters. Awareness matters. And the person finally understood why. Not because they wanted to avoid every challenge. Because they wanted to face challenges from a position of strength. As the days continued, confidence started returning. Not the confidence that comes from wishful thinking. The confidence that comes from understanding. Now imagine learning how a complicated machine actually works. The machine hasn't changed. Yet your confidence changes completely because understanding replaces uncertainty. Child, understanding creates peace. The person no longer felt overwhelmed by the future. Instead, they felt curious about it. Interested in it. Engaged with it. And engagement creates movement. The future no longer looked like a threat. It looked like an opportunity. An opportunity to become wiser. Stronger. More intentional. More prepared. Then came the realization that changed the direction of everything. The person understood that protecting what matters most requires consistency. Not perfection. Consistency. Now imagine watering a tree. One day of watering helps. Years of watering transform. Child, successful futures are built exactly that way. Not through one giant decision. Through hundreds of small decisions repeated over time. And suddenly the path forward became clear. The person didn't need a miracle. They needed commitment. Commitment to awareness. Commitment to learning. Commitment to paying attention. And those commitments were already beginning to reshape their future. A divine portal of restoration is open right now on your screen. Scan the QR code or click the link waiting for you in the description and pinned comment to sow your seed. If you have been carrying the weight of past mistakes and hidden regrets, recognize this moment. God has orchestrated this exact second for your confession and spiritual cleansing. This is your chance to make it right. By stepping forward with your donation today, you are releasing a seed directly into the hands of the Creator. God is personally testing your heart and examining your faithfulness today. In return, He will unlock a supernatural harvest that will overflow into your life and shield your lineage for generations to come. Sow your seed now and claim your breakthrough. But beloved one, the biggest discovery has not happened yet. Because very soon, the person will encounter a situation that tests everything they have learned. A situation that reveals whether awareness has truly become wisdom. And when that moment arrives, they will finally understand why every lesson in this journey mattered. Before you leave this chapter, comment the word prepared. Because preparation often looks ordinary until the day it becomes essential. And if you're ready for part 3, type 3. Because the next chapter reveals the unexpected challenge that puts these lessons to the test, and why it changes everything. Part 3. My beloved one. There comes a moment in every journey when learning stops being theory. A moment when lessons stop being words. A moment when understanding is tested by reality. And child, that moment had finally arrived. For weeks, the person in this story had been changing. Thinking differently. Paying closer attention. Becoming more aware. Becoming more intentional. Yet awareness becomes valuable only when it is used. And very soon, an unexpected situation would reveal whether these lessons had truly taken root. Now imagine a builder spending years learning how to construct strong foundations. Reading books. Studying designs. Watching experts. Then one day a storm arrives. The storm does not care how much the builder knows. The storm reveals how well the builder prepared. Child, storms reveal what preparation creates. And preparation was about to be tested. The challenge appeared quietly. Not dramatically. Not with alarms. Not with chaos. That is what made it dangerous. Now imagine walking through your home and noticing a tiny drip from a pipe. Just a drip. Easy to ignore. Easy to postpone. Easy to tell yourself, I'll deal with it later. Child, many important situations begin exactly that way. Small enough to dismiss. Important enough to matter. The person almost overlooked it. Almost. But something had changed. The old version of them would have ignored it. The new version paused. Looked closer. Asked questions. And that decision changed everything. Because awareness notices what distraction misses. As they examined the situation more carefully, another truth appeared. The issue itself was not the biggest problem. The bigger problem was how easily it could have been ignored. Now imagine a traveler. Walking through unfamiliar territory. One traveler pays attention to signs. The other walks past them. Both travelers start in the same place. Yet they often end in very different places. Child, attention influences outcomes. More than most people realize. The person began understanding that small moments carry enormous power. A small decision, a small conversation, a small observation, a small correction. These things rarely feel important in the moment. Yet over time they shape entire futures. And futures are built from moments, not miracles. A divine portal of restoration is open right now on your screen. Scan the QR code or click the link waiting for you in the description and pinned comment to sow your seed. If you have been carrying the weight of past mistakes and hidden regrets, recognize this moment. God has orchestrated this exact second for your confession and spiritual cleansing. This is your chance to make it right. By stepping forward with your donation today, you are releasing a seed directly into the hands of the Creator. God is personally testing your heart and examining your faithfulness today. In return, He will unlock a supernatural harvest that will overflow into your life and shield your lineage for generations to come. Sow your seed now and claim your breakthrough. That evening brought a powerful realization. The person sat quietly, reflecting on everything that had happened over the last few weeks. The lessons, the conversations, the changes, the growth. And suddenly something became clear. For years they had believed success belonged to people who possessed extraordinary advantages, extraordinary luck, extraordinary connections, extraordinary opportunities. Now imagine watching two gardeners. One receives perfect weather. The other receives unpredictable weather. Yet both gardens flourish. Why? Because the second gardener learned something the first never needed to learn. Adaptability. Child, adaptability creates resilience. And resilience creates strength. The person finally understood that strength was not about avoiding challenges. It was about responding wisely when challenges appeared. That realization changed everything. The following morning, another opportunity arrived. A genuine opportunity. Not disguised. Not hidden. An obvious opportunity. Yet surprisingly, the person reacted differently than they would have in the past. Now imagine someone who spent years searching desperately for water. Then finally reaches a river. The desperate version rushes in without thinking. The wiser version pauses. Observes. Understands. Then moves forward intentionally. Child, wisdom creates patience. And patience creates better decisions. For the first time, the person was not driven by urgency. They were guided by understanding. And understanding felt powerful. Not because it removed uncertainty. Because it created confidence. As the opportunity developed, another lesson emerged. A lesson connected directly to every difficult season they had experienced. Now imagine a blacksmith working with steel. The steel does not understand the heat. The steel does not understand the hammer. The steel does not understand the process. Yet the blacksmith understands exactly what is being created. Child, there were seasons in life when the person felt pressure, felt disappointment, felt confusion, felt delay. Now they could finally see those seasons differently. The pressure created resilience. The disappointment created perspective. The confusion created wisdom. The delay created preparation. And preparation was becoming visible everywhere. The things that once looked like obstacles now looked like training. The things that once felt unfair now looked meaningful. The entire story was changing. Days turned into weeks. The opportunity continued growing. The person's confidence continued growing. But something even more valuable was growing too. Trust. Not trust in circumstances. Trust in themselves. Now imagine a sailor who has crossed many oceans. The sailor still respects storms. Still respects uncertainty. Still respects risk. Yet confidence exists because experience exists. Child, experience had changed this person. The future no longer felt frightening. It felt possible. And possibility is powerful. Because possibility inspires action. Action creates progress. Progress creates momentum. And momentum changes lives. Then came the realization that connected everything. The greatest protection in life is not fear. It is wisdom. Fear makes people freeze. Wisdom helps people move. Fear focuses on what might go wrong. Wisdom focuses on what can be done right. And child. That realization became the foundation for everything that followed. Because the person finally understood something. The future was not asking them to be perfect. The future was asking them to be present. Aware. Intentional. Prepared. And they were becoming exactly that. Your breakthrough is waiting behind that QR code and the link in the pinned comment. God has brought you to this video for a reason, to test your faithfulness. Stop letting past errors hold your destiny captive. Sow your sacrificial seed today. The Almighty is personally examining your heart through this offering. Give generously right now, and unlock a wave of supernatural blessings that will overflow into your life and protect your children's future forever. But beloved one, the most powerful chapter has not arrived yet. Because very soon, the person will uncover a connection between their oldest dream and their newest opportunity. A connection so unexpected that it will make them look back at the last several years in complete amazement. And when that connection is revealed, they will finally understand why nothing in their journey was wasted. Before you leave this chapter, comment the word wisdom. Because wisdom often grows quietly until the day it changes everything. And if you're ready for part 4, type 4. Because the next chapter reveals the hidden connection that transforms the entire story. Part 4. My beloved one. Tonight, I want you to listen differently. Not with your ears. With your memories. Because there are seasons of life that only make sense when you look backward. When you are living through them, they feel confusing. Painful. Slow. Unfair. Yet years later, those same seasons reveal something extraordinary. A pattern. A purpose. A connection. And child. That connection was finally beginning to reveal itself. For a long time, the person in this story believed life was divided into separate chapters. One chapter of disappointment. One chapter of struggle. One chapter of waiting. One chapter of hope. Each chapter seemed unrelated. Disconnected. Random. But heaven often writes stories differently than people do. Now imagine standing beneath a giant stained glass window. From very close, all you see are separate pieces. Different colors. Different shapes. Different fragments. Nothing appears connected. Then you step back. Far back. And suddenly a complete image appears. Child, that is exactly what was happening. The person was finally stepping back. And for the first time, they could see the image. The opportunity that had recently appeared continued growing. New conversations emerged. New possibilities appeared. New doors opened. Yet something felt familiar. Strangely familiar. Now imagine hearing a melody for the first time in years. You cannot immediately place it. Yet deep inside, something recognizes it. Child, that feeling kept returning. The opportunity felt new. Yet somehow connected to something old. Something from years ago. Something they had forgotten. Or at least believed they had forgotten. The feeling became impossible to ignore. And eventually curiosity took over. One evening, while sorting through old files, journals, notes, and forgotten plans, the person discovered something unexpected. A notebook. An ordinary notebook. Dusty. Worn. Almost forgotten. Now imagine opening a time capsule created by a younger version of yourself. Every page becomes a message from the past. Every word becomes a reminder. Every dream becomes visible again. Child, that notebook became a doorway. And inside that doorway lived a dream. A dream they had completely abandoned. A dream they once believed would define their future. A dream that eventually collapsed. Or so they thought. The person sat there for a long time. Reading. Remembering. Reflecting. And suddenly something incredible happened. A divine portal of restoration is open right now on your screen. Scan the QR code or click the link waiting for you in the description and pinned comment to sow your seed. If you have been carrying the weight of past mistakes and hidden regrets, recognize this moment. God has orchestrated this exact second for your confession and spiritual cleansing. This is your chance to make it right. By stepping forward with your donation today, you are releasing a seed directly into the hands of the Creator. God is personally testing your heart and examining your faithfulness today. In return, He will unlock a supernatural harvest that will overflow into your life and shield your lineage for generations to come. Sow your seed now and claim your breakthrough. The dream wasn't gone. It had evolved. Now imagine planting an apple seed but expecting it to become a specific tree in a specific location. Years later, you discover the tree grew elsewhere. Different location. Different shape. Different appearance. Yet still connected to the same seed. Child, dreams often grow exactly that way. Not according to our plans. According to possibilities we cannot yet see. The person realized that the opportunity sitting before them now carried the exact same purpose as the dream they lost years earlier. The details were different. The route was different. The destination was slightly different. Yet the deeper mission remained identical. And that realization sent chills through them. Because suddenly nothing felt random anymore. For years they had carried disappointment about that old chapter. For years they wondered why the door closed. For years they questioned why things unfolded the way they did. Now imagine spending years angry that one road ended unexpectedly. Then discovering that road secretly redirected you toward a better destination. Child, perspective changes everything. The person finally understood something they never saw before. If the original dream had succeeded exactly as planned, they would never have developed the skills they now possess. Never have gained the wisdom they now carry. Never have met the people who helped shape them. Never have learned the lessons that now make them valuable. And suddenly the disappointment looked different. Not meaningless. Necessary. Not cruel. Educational. Not an ending. A preparation. That night became one of the most emotional nights of the entire journey. Not because of sadness. Because of understanding. Now imagine carrying a heavy backpack for years. A backpack filled with unanswered questions. Then suddenly someone removes the weight. The road remains the same. Yet everything feels lighter. Child, that is what understanding does. The person felt lighter. Freer. Calmer. Because they finally stopped fighting the past. And when people stop fighting the past, they gain energy for the future. The old wounds began transforming into wisdom. The old regrets began transforming into gratitude. The old confusion began transforming into clarity. And clarity is powerful. Very powerful. As the weeks moved forward, another realization emerged. The opportunity itself was not the reward. The perspective was. Now imagine someone searching for treasure for years. Eventually they find it. Yet along the way they become stronger. Smarter. Wiser. More capable. Child, what if the greatest treasure was not the treasure itself? What if the greatest treasure was who you became while searching? That realization struck deeply. Because the person could finally see their own growth. Not imagined growth. Real growth. Visible growth. The kind of growth built through years of perseverance. Years of patience. Years of continuing forward despite uncertainty. And that growth became impossible to ignore. Then came the realization that changed everything. The dream never truly disappeared. The dream simply outgrew its original form. Read that again. The dream never died. It evolved. And child, many people spend years mourning dreams that are actually transforming. Years grieving doors that are secretly redirecting them. Years believing the story ended when heaven is still writing new chapters. The person finally understood this. And understanding brought peace. The deepest peace they had felt in years. Scan the QR code or click the link below immediately to sow your seed of faith. This is God's direct invitation to wash away past regrets and write a new story. The seed you sow today goes straight to the Creator's ledger. He will witness your sacrifice and return it to you 100-fold, establishing a divine shield of wealth and peace over your bloodline for generations to come. Do not hesitate, sow your seed now. But beloved one, the most powerful revelation of all still remains. Because very soon, the person will discover why this opportunity arrived at this exact moment. Not last year. Not 5 years ago. Now. And when they finally understand the timing, every chapter of their journey will make perfect sense. Before you leave this chapter, comment the word evolve. Because sometimes what looks like an ending is actually a dream evolving into something greater. And if you're ready for the final chapter, type 5. Because the next chapter reveals why the timing of everything was more perfect than anyone could have imagined. Part 5, Final Chapter. My beloved one, be still for a moment. Because this chapter is not about opportunity. It is not about success. It is not about achievement. It is about timing. And child, timing is one of the hardest lessons for people to trust. Because when a door remains closed, we call it delay. When a prayer remains unanswered, we call it silence. When a dream takes longer than expected, we call it disappointment. Yet there are moments when you look back and realize something astonishing. The delay was not empty. The silence was not absence. The disappointment was not rejection. It was preparation. Now imagine trying to harvest fruit in the middle of winter. No matter how desperately you want it. No matter how sincerely you ask for it. The season is wrong. Child, timing matters. Not because the fruit doesn't exist. Because the season has not arrived. And that realization changed everything for the person in this story. Right now, a sacred opportunity is visible on your screen. Scan the QR code or click the link pinned in the comments and description below to sow your seed of faith. We have all stumbled blindly and made mistakes in life, but God is offering you a divine moment of confession and redemption today. Do not let this moment pass. By sowing a sacrificial seed of donation right now, you are initiating a spiritual harvest. The Almighty Himself will examine your offering, and the blessings of your generosity will return to you multiplied, securing divine favor not just for your future, but for generations to come. Sow your seed today and change your destiny. The opportunity continued unfolding. Conversations became plans. Plans became action. Action became progress. And with every step forward, another piece of the puzzle appeared. The person started noticing something remarkable. The timing was not random. The timing was precise. Now imagine trying to build a house before the foundation is complete. The walls may rise. The roof may appear. Yet eventually the weakness underneath reveals itself. Child, foundations determine futures. And the person finally understood that years had been spent building a foundation. Not wasting time. Building. Not standing still. Preparing. Not being forgotten. Developing. The difference is enormous. And suddenly the years looked completely different. One evening, while reflecting on the entire journey, the person asked themselves a question. A question they had never considered before. The question was, who would I have been if everything happened when I wanted it to? Child. The answer surprised them. Because the version of themselves from years ago was not ready. Not truly. Not completely. They had enthusiasm. But not patience. Ambition. But not wisdom. Dreams. But not perspective. Now imagine giving a young tree the weight of a full harvest before its branches are strong enough to carry it. The fruit itself is not the problem. The timing is. Child, some blessings arrive only after strength arrives. And strength had finally arrived. The person could see it now. Clearly. The old disappointments no longer looked like enemies. They looked like teachers. The old delays no longer looked like punishment. They looked like preparation. The old struggles no longer looked meaningless. They looked necessary. Now imagine climbing a staircase in darkness. Each step feels uncertain. Each step feels frustrating. Then suddenly the lights turn on. Child, the staircase has not changed. Your understanding has. And understanding transforms everything. The person finally realized that every difficult season contributed something valuable. Every setback taught resilience. Every challenge taught perspective. Every delay taught patience. Every disappointment taught wisdom. Nothing was wasted. Nothing. As the months moved forward, the opportunity became reality. Not fantasy. Reality. Not overnight. Gradually. Steadily. Naturally. And that made it even more meaningful. Because what is built gradually tends to last. Now imagine a river carving its way through stone. The process seems slow. Almost invisible. Yet over time, the river creates something extraordinary. Child, lasting change rarely arrives all at once. It arrives through consistency. Through perseverance. Through daily choices. And that is exactly how this future was being built. One decision at a time. One conversation at a time. One step at a time. Then came the final realization. The realization that connected every chapter. The realization that explained every delay. The realization that brought peace. The person understood that they were never waiting for the opportunity. The opportunity was waiting for them. Read that again. Not because they were unworthy before. Because they were still becoming. Now imagine a key being crafted. The metal is heated. Shaped. Adjusted. Refined. Only then can it open the door it was designed for. Child, people grow the same way. And the person finally understood that they had been shaped by every chapter they once wanted to escape. Every lesson mattered. Every season mattered. Every chapter belonged. As this story reaches its conclusion, one truth remains. You may not understand every delay while you are living through it. You may not understand every closed door while it is happening. You may not understand every detour while you are walking it. But understanding often arrives later. And when it does, you may discover something beautiful. The chapters you thought were holding you back were actually moving you forward. The chapters you thought were breaking your dream were actually building it. The chapters you wanted removed from your story were the chapters that gave your story its strength. Look at the QR code on your screen, or click the link in the description and pinned comment right now. God knows the hidden guilt you've carried from past mistakes. This is your divine window to confess, release that burden, and sow your seed. What you donate today isn't just money, it's a seed directly evaluated by God Himself. He will multiply this sacrifice, breaking every financial curse and securing an eternal harvest for you and your future generations. Act now. So tonight, beloved one, remember this. A dream delayed is not always a dream denied. A closed door is not always a final door. A difficult season is not always a wasted season. Sometimes what feels like waiting is actually becoming. And becoming is powerful. Because the person you become determines what you are able to carry when the opportunity finally arrives. Before you leave this final chapter, comment the word timing. Because timing often reveals that life was working for you in ways you could not yet see. And tell us, looking back, what challenge in your life eventually taught you the lesson you needed most? Until next time, beloved one. Remember this. Nothing valuable learned is wasted. Nothing meaningful endured is wasted. And sometimes the answer you have been waiting for is not found in the future. It is found in understanding the journey that brought you here.